Hi everyone, my name is Emma. I am a free tour guide for you today. So yes, let's get started. If you visit Vietnam, so I'll make sure that you can hear in somewhere around Ho Chi Minh City or Ho Chi Minh, right? So Ho Chi Minh City is one of the biggest city in Vietnam, and the Ho Chi Minh, yes, actually Ho Chi Minh is the name of Vietnamese hero. He is our former president who has been wandering the world to seek the way for national independence. So, however, um, I'm I'm sure that you you do not know about you do not know detail about him, right? So that is the reason that I highly recommend you get into the Ho Chi Minh complex. Yes, I will show you the his biography, his career, his milestones, and his contribution to Vietnam and Vietnamese people. Yeah, so the first monument I want to show you is Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum. I will tell you a biography, his career, and his contribution. Yeah, his contribution to Vietnam and Vietnamese people. He was a Vietnamese revolutionary and statesman. Aside from aside from uh, aside from being a politician, Ho Chi Minh was also a writer, poet, satirist. He wrote several books and poems and articles in Chinese, French, and Vietnam as well, and Vietnamese as well. Yes, now I want to show you his biography. He was born as Nguyễn Sinh. It is the real, it's not, it is real name. It's in 1890. Yeah, in Nghệ An province, the middle province of, is the middle of province. The historical the historical of my country at that time is really complicated. In the early 19th century, Western capital countries entered the period of imperialism and colonialism through the missionaries and trade. The French gradually, gradually dominated Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. Vietnam had to cope with the invasion of a Western country. In that context, some of Vietnamese intellectuals were aware that the need to carry out reforms, bringing the country of the state nation and self national independence. Subsequently, yeah, the country was driven into the backward, and the deadlock, and become a semi-feudal feudal feudal colony for nearly 100 years. Yeah, in early 20th century, influenced by the bourgeois bourgeois revolution outside. The patriotic movement of Vietnam took place actively, and Ho Chi Minh, with a passionate patriotism, deeply loving people, political sensitively, he began to think about the cause of success and the failure of a patriotic movement at that time, and determined to find a way for national independence. In 1911, Ho traveled to Saigon and went to abroad. These years are the beginning of the period of time he wandered in the world to seek the way for national independence. Ho Chi Minh spent almost 30 years traveling around the world from Asia, Europe, North America, South America, or Africa, yeah, to find a way. And 1930, the Communist Party of Vietnam was founded by him. In 1941, Ho Chi Minh returned to Vietnam for the first time after 30 years. There he founded the group Vietnam Độc lập Đồng Minh. Now, at that time, we call the short name in Viet Minh. It's an organization composes Vietnam nationalist and communist group committed to Vietnam independence. In 1942, Ho Chi Minh was arrested by KMT, the Nationalist Party in China, and briefly in the prison. Ho began to use the pseudonym Ho Chi Minh, means he was enlightened, yes, and he used pseudonym to write a lot of poems. So the most famous poem at that time is the Diary in the Prison, and yes, and in August 1945, his leader gets the success of August Revolution. In the second of September 2004, in the 2nd of September 1945, he presented the Declaration of Independence here at Ba Square, the establishment of Democratic Republic of Vietnam. From 1945 to 1954, he led Vietnam to victory in the resistance war against the French. From 1946 to 1969, he was also the leader of Vietnam people resist against the USA. And her dream is to unify Vietnam, the North and the South of Vietnam. In 1969, Ho Chi Minh passed away on September 2nd at the age of 79. And Saigon in 1975, Vietnam was reunified and Saigon was renamed to Ho Chi Minh City. To show the grateful of our country to him. To show the grateful of his contribution to Vietnamese and Vietnamese people. He served as a Prime Minister of Vietnam Democratic Republic of Vietnam. There is perhaps no greater hero to Vietnam than Ho Chi Minh. He is remembered primarily for his lifelong battle against greed to build an independent and reunified Vietnam. And yes, as I say, Saigon, the former capital of South Vietnam, was renamed Ho Chi Minh City in his memory after its capture by the North of Vietnam. And the first one, he is one of the most influential communist leaders of the 20th century. He spent all his life to serve national and people. Local people love him. Local people love him very much and call him very familiar name is Bác Hồ. It means Uncle Ho, and we consider he was like a member. He was like a member of the family. And yes, we have a pass from the Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum, and you have asked me a question that the body of Ho Chi Minh in that is real or fake, right? So many visitors many visitors ask me this question. Actually, I can tell from the government or from official information, this is a real one. However, I know there's a lot of newspaper or source revealing that it is a fake one. So to be honest, I'm not really sure about the answer because that is a top secret. That is a confidential information. And there's only some top leaders, some top boss know about that information. I don't know. But I think we are here already, right? And we enjoy it and we study, we learn about his story, learn about his life, his contribution, even his thoughts. So that problem is it doesn't matter. It's a real or fake one, it doesn't matter, right? And now we move on to the second monument. It is a still hall where he lived in the last day of his life. Actually, this was also the place that he welcomes the guests and holds the important meeting in there. Do you consider about do you curious about he get married or have any children? Yeah, actually, actually in the official information, he didn't get married and have no any children. So yeah, but in some sources say that he got married with a Chinese woman and some Vietnamese woman, but it's it cannot clarify that information. Yes. Anyway, I respect his life, his personal life. We saw his contribution that he did with Vietnam and Vietnamese people. Even he got married or he had a children. It's so normal. It is a nature. And in my opinion, he should have children. He should get married and have children because he was a man. He was talented. He should maintain for the next generation, right? It doesn't change my attitude and my grateful that I spent to him. And the last monument is One Peanut Pagoda. One Peanut Pagoda was built in 1049 were entirely constructed with wood on a pillar made a single tons. It's designed to assemble a lotus blossom. It's also the national flower of Vietnam, and in the Buddhism, it's a symbol for purity. Do you curious about the legend of this pagoda? Yes, this pagoda was the name. The name is long-lasting happiness and good luck. According to the history, the goddess of Kuan Yin appeared to King Li Taitung in his dream. Emperor Li Taitung at that time would have no children. So in that dream, the goddess hands him a son while she was seated over the lotus flower. Later, he got married and with a peasant girl who bore him a son. As a symbol of appreciation and gratitude, he asked the monk to build the pagoda as like a dream. However, because of the war, the one pagoda pillar has been destroyed and rebuilt sometime. In 1954, before withdrawing from Vietnam after the First Indochina War, the French Union fought completely destroyed this pagoda, and this one will build the new one year later. Yes, so there are some information that I want to share you in the short time. If you want to know more, please leave any question. Thanks for patience, listen until the end, and see you. Thanks a lot for patience listening to at the end. Thanks.